You are listening to Fettuccini Fiasco, Book 3 of the Jade Sommer Series. Written by Nicolette Pierce. Copyright 2021. Audio copyright 2025 by Pierced Heart Publishing. Digitally narrated with full cast of voices. Chapter 1. Mila and I stood in the office doorway, looking out at Lily and Ross. They stood side by side at the prep table, cutting vegetables for the upcoming dinner rush. Lily's long black hair was tied up, and Ross kept taking sidelong glances at her. Seemed that even though Ross snubbed my matchmaking, he was interested in Lily.
"There's something going on with them,"
Mila said, eyeing the pair who stood shoulder to shoulder. Their arms brushed every so often, making Lily blush. "They're prepping for tonight," I said.
"That's not all, Jade. Haven't you seen the way they look at each other?"
I try not to pay attention to my brother.
"Well, I have been paying attention, and I think there is something going on."
I was pretty sure something was going on too, but there was no way I would tell Mila. The fact was, Ross finally got his head on right and noticed Lily. She was the full package: pretty, smart, and kind. And not to say Mila didn't have those qualities as well, but I had a feeling Ross and Lily would make a better couple, which is why I basically tossed them together for drinks one night. Mila was never to know. Mila huffed and dropped into the aging office chair that groaned under her assault. I glanced back at her. "You're pouting."
"I don't pout."
When I raised a brow at her, she stuck out her tongue. I laughed, but that laugh died when I saw Logan walk into the kitchen. He was delectable in jeans, long-sleeve shirt, and badge clipped to his belt. His dark eyes were quick to find me, but then turned just as quickly to Ross. I couldn't get a reading from Logan, though I knew he was upset with me.
"Oh, that was Frosty,"
Mila said as she returned to my side.
Not even a smile.
It was better this way. Logan might be angry with me, but he was alive, and that was all that mattered. If my brain could relay that to my heart, I'd agree with myself.
"You really should tell him."
You know why I can't. Cops who go up against the company's mob bosses aren't heard from again. I need more time. I'll figure a way out of this.
"It's been 3 weeks, and all you've done is piss off Logan and get your ass kicked."
She was right. After 3 weeks of being under the mob's thumb, I was no closer to freedom. I couldn't stop the illegal fights. My complacency was the only thing keeping me alive. When I didn't say anything, Mila put her hand on my shoulder, making me wince as a jab of pain shot through me.
"We'll figure this out, I promise."
I hoped so, because my body couldn't take much more, and my makeup budget was off the charts as I covered the bruising. However, I must say the beauty regimen I started really helped brighten up my dull brown eyes and hair. I nearly looked like I cared about my appearance, which hadn't been the case since I was fired from my dream job and found my fiancé briefing his assistant on my dining room table. When Logan turned to me, Mila made a frivolous excuse about napkin folding and abandoned me. Logan gave a nod to Mila as she sped by, and then trapped me in his narrow gaze. I wanted to flee with the traitor, but I kept my ground.
"Still avoiding me?"
Logan asked. His voice was silky, though it held a hard edge that warned me of his simmering mood. "I'm not avoiding you."
"Really? Because every time I ask you out, you make up an excuse."
"I don't." That was a lie. He raised a brow.
"Jade, if you don't want to date me, that's fine. Just tell me."
I didn't want to tell him that. It wasn't the truth. In fact, a few weeks ago, all I wanted was him back in my life. Back to the way things used to be before I had moved away. So I would never lie and say I didn't want to date him. "I'm not ready," I said. "And neither are you."
"Are you serious?"
"You were engaged 3 weeks ago."
Because I never thought.
Thought? I prompted. He shook his head.
Never mind. I'll see you later.
My stomach clenched as I watched Logan disappear out the back door. Every time I watched him walk away, I feared it would be forever.
Is this a game to you?
Ross asked. He wiped his hands on a towel and tossed it on the counter while his hazel eyes pinned me. Of course not.
It sure the hell looks like one.
He dragged a hand through his dark blonde hair.
Logan broke off an engagement for you, and now you give him the cold shoulder?
I just think since we both broke off engagements recently, we shouldn't jump into a relationship.
Jade, admit you're scared.
Maybe I was. I lost Logan once, and it hurt more than I could describe. At least he was alive. What if he died trying to protect me? I'd never forgive myself. Ross, I need time. I told Logan the same thing.
It's not always about you, Jade. Logan is going through a lot right now, and you can't even see past your own needs.
I paused. What's going on with Logan? Ross shook his head.
Why bother telling you when you can't be bothered to care? You've always been self-centered, Jade. I thought you'd grow out of it eventually.
When Ross shut down the conversation and walked to the dining room, I headed out the back door for air. The last of the summer warmth cocooned me in scents that permeated the air. Chinatown's stir-fry dishes and spices blended with our family's Italian sauces and herbs. It was like walking into a hug. The voices of the street vendors hawking their wares and the constant traffic streaming by were a chaotic lullaby. This was home, and I was glad I was here. Now, I had to figure out how to live here without making everyone hate me. I knew Logan was upset, and now Ross had his nose out of joint. I'd say Ross didn't mean what he had said, but he meant those words, and I couldn't blame him. He always did the right thing. When I had left to pursue my own dreams, he stayed to help with the family business. I selfishly moved beyond the restaurant, and yet, here I was, at the family business, and my dreams were dead. I stood in the alley, not wanting to sit on the rickety chair stationed under the bug cemetery lamp. Sitting hurt. Everything hurt. And knowing my luck, the chair would break, and I'd be on the ground in pain. But what did Ross mean about Logan? Were there issues with his break with Avery? A movement out of the corner of my eye caught my attention. Immediately, I braced my stance, something I wouldn't have instinctually done 3 weeks ago. When I saw it was my cousin Kobe, I relaxed. Kobe didn't pose a threat to me. Well, not anymore. While he was the one who had started this illegal fighting train wreck, Kobe had been on his best behavior since then. In fact, I never heard one utterance about his video channel or producing more content for it. It was as if he'd given it up.
Hey, Jade.
He never got too close to me either. The fact that he had to walk past me to get to the door had him skittering like a rodent. I put my hand out to stop him. His gaze widened. I already have too many people mad at me, I said. I don't need you acting weird.
Me? Weird!
He scratched his sandy hair, messing up his carefully sculpted locks. Kobe, you and I are fine. I know you didn't mean for any of this to happen.
I really didn't, Jade. 1 minute it was a friendly competition between you and a sumo wrestler. Next thing I know, Sparrow opened the betting.
He leaned in.
I haven't seen Sparrow for a week.
Maybe he's on vacation. I supposed even the friendly neighborhood drug dealer needed a break now and then. Kobe shook his head.
Someone already took his spot at the park.
He's going to be furious, but that's his problem. Kobe leaned in and whispered.
Unless he's dead.
I paused. Have you heard something?
It's not like him to take a vacation. He's been around for as long as I can remember. What if his disappearance has something to do with the company?
I sighed. If it has anything to do with them, then we definitely keep our noses out of it. Got it? He nodded. And not a word to Logan, I added.
Promise.
He was about to head inside when we heard off-key singing. Kobe groaned.
She's coming.
A moment later, Aunt Dot rounded the corner and entered the alley. Aunt Dot was not one to sing or hum or whistle. In fact, it would earn you a swat with a spatula if anyone made musical notes near her. So, watching her perky steps as she sang was jarring. "Is she drunk?" I asked, knowing she was in divorce proceedings with Uncle Frank.
That's what I thought yesterday, but I don't think so.
Did she hijack Sparrow for his goods?
Don't even joke.
Aunt Dot swung by us, giving Kobe a pat on the head and tossing me a smile. A smile. And she was wearing perfume. Who was this woman who used to look like an aging mosquito? "Was that lipstick?" I asked. Kobe nodded. Interesting. Maybe Aunt Dot was sprucing up for the dating pool. From Kobe's winced expression, he probably had the same thought.
I better go in.
Good luck.
Yeah, you too.
He paused.
I mean, just not at work tonight.
I know. I followed him inside and prepared for an uneventful night of pizza delivery. Before I could grab the scooter key, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out and glanced at the message.
Tonight, 8-411.
I cursed. The company's 411 underground fighting ring was trying to get me to fight tonight at 8. I texted back. Working until 10.
Be there at 8.
We had an agreement. I keep my work hours for appearance.
Agreements change.
I shoved the phone into my pocket and then winced at the pain in my shoulder. Flagging Mila from the dining room, I pulled her aside. They want me at 8.
You have an agreement.
And they changed it.
What are you going to do?
Can you cover for me? We won't have that much of a rush on a Tuesday night.
Ross said we're going to be packed tonight.
Why? We were never packed on a weeknight. Only recently we started getting a decent clientele on the weekends.
It's Taco Tuesday. Ross has been advertising a special taco pizza that Dot created.
We've had the same menu for 3 generations, and now she wants to create a new pizza?
She's been acting strange. And did you smell the perfume?
I sighed. What am I going to do?
Pretend you're sick. I'll deliver for you, and Ross can pick up hosting.
And what happens next time? And the time after that? I took a deep breath, willing myself not to panic.
Are you any closer to figuring out who is in charge of the 411?
No. There are company men at the fights, but I've only seen one guy who might have some ranking. All he does is parade his girls around and yell. Most of the men ignore him.
It can't be him then, but maybe you can butter him up and get him to talk about the family.
I let out an involuntary shudder. Carlo was a poster boy for the vintage mob. Brash and loud, his leer could make a woman layer on sweaters just to escape his roving eyes. Buttering him up would mean giving him carte blanche to my goods, and I wasn't willing to go there. However, I was also running out of options.
Are you going to be okay to fight again?
I have no choice. She frowned.
Want me to pick you up after?
I shook my head. Since this began, I didn't let Mila anywhere near the fights. The last thing I needed was to have her spotted and give them even more leverage against me. Or worse, make her join in the fights as well.
Be safe.
I nearly laughed. Sure, be safe. The restaurant phone rang, signaling my first order of the night. Mila squeezed my arm.
You got this.
I nodded, because there was nothing else to say. Tonight I had to show up to the fight or find myself at the bottom of Lake Michigan in concrete boots.